Okay, I'm going to read some negative nastiness that showed up in the inbox and then actually get some useful information for all of you. Let's see here. Where is it? Oh, yeah. A May 28th, 2017 blank channel posted this. Lol, this is an open case. You don't deserve any answers. Nobody does? So in an open case, I don't deserve answers. Okay. You wish you were important, or excuse me, you wish you were so important. Okay. Lol, no one cares about you. Okay. This has a major effect on whether or not people really do care about me, and it has a major effect on whether I perceive myself as people giving a shit about me. Because you've said so. Lol, waptek is making this about him. What the fuck is wrong with him? Okay. I'm not letting your comments post because they're non-productive. You're not actually discussing the subject matter. It's not about me. That's why you don't get to post. If you have any information to contribute, and a few people have, that'd be great. A couple of people asked me, the person who no longer exists that was a suspect in the killing of the two young people in Indiana. I only know one name, and they brought up two other people's names, and I didn't know those were suspects at all, so I'm hoping they respond. Police refused to describe the vehicle that was seen noon to 5 p.m. on the 13th in 2017. The location it was at, and this is an approximate location on Google Street View and Street Maps. You can only get street maps. It doesn't have any street view in the area. A lot of places in that area have no street view. They said, not in my backyard, you cannot run the street view camera through, which means we don't have any reference points. It was 6812 W, don't type in west, W300 N for north, Delphi, Indiana. Now, the coordinates of the actual location where the car was posted, or supposed to be, according to the police's own on-screen Google Street View, Google Earth view that they used, also has the coordinates of 40.5958468 by negative 86.6543985. Normally I read these out, but I wasn't able to do it at the time. They did not explain how they made the new sketch. They're being very close to the cuff about this, or vest, or whatever. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. What they want to do is, if somebody gives them a tip, if it matches what they've got, they can use that to confirm that the tip actually makes any sense. That way they can waste less time. That's basically it, apparently. But the chunk of evidence that is needed for anybody to help them, the video and the photos, need to be released as raw files. Unfortunately, it was done through Snapchat or whatever for the picture, and the video was, I forgot where it was. This has been a long time since I've looked into this again. And to this day, they haven't released the entire audio and video recording, or whether it was the audio and video recording combined, or if it was just an audio recording being made and a video recording was made and there's no audio with it, which doesn't make any sense. Liberty German, age 14, and Abigail Williams, age 13, were found dead. Now, this is the number I came up with when I measured it. Depending on if you do a straight line or if you do the wiggle waggle around the river bends, it works out to about 2,600 feet. Now, the reason for that is someone posted somewhere it's exactly half a mile away. Well, is that walking distance on the edge of the river? So I plotted the numbers out, and okay, it came to a specific point. Or is it a straight line to the northern edge of the stream? And it was east of Monon Bridge at 2,600 feet, or half a mile approximately, and 50 feet north of Deer Creek. That has to be on an edge where Deer Creek is going east to west to be north of it, mostly. And what I found, and I posted in the other video in part of the title, was that matches up closest to the street address of 5690 West, or 5690 W 300 N, Delphi, Indiana. And that one, it's basically someone's backyard towards the stream, and there's a lot of high hills there, and it's rough territory. But this was during, February. So it was cold, it was dry, and I found out that you can see the trails better, and you can change the years to force this to work in Google Earth and also Zoom Earth. otherwise known as, well, it's just Zoom Earth, and that's it. And it's given a different name. Originally, it was called Flash Earth. And it lets you, I can't tell it to give me a specific year, but if you do it, 90% of the time it'll give you all these other images. But the Google Earth version works really good for this because you can then see the trails. Now, there are a couple of photos that are available. I've even linked them below, and they're on Scallywag and Vagabond.com WordPress pages, and the Indie channel, a whole bunch of stuff. And you can see the maps. There are 5 maps that all confirm the location I found, which is actually the wiggle waggle method of going through the stream. You end up with that address at 5690 West, or 5690 W 300N Delphi, Indiana. When you do that, that actually shows you almost exactly where they are. It's supposed to be. And someone had a picture on one of these blog pages that showed what was supposed to be the location they were found. But all it showed was caution and police do not cross tape. They were doing that all sorts of places because they were cordoning off everywhere they could that hadn't been contaminated to look for any evidence. And it was temporary. I also found a video of a helicopter constantly circling in the area trying to find something. And unfortunately, I have to say this about people who take films from helicopters. They're garbage. It's almost impossible to get perspective. Photographers are almost taught the art house school of obscuring data, zooming in and out. I know they're trying to get something useful, but it makes it nearly impossible to figure out what the hell they're looking at. I mean, I had to backtrack 6 times, and the video broke up a lot because it was a bad stream that was done on a Facebook stream. They streamed it to Facebook. This is a news channel that called itself the Indie ABC channel. So I erased it after a while. But anyway, it didn't show me any information. This was right afterwards. What it did show is that downriver from where they were found, they were checking the river. And they weren't checking beyond that address, that street address, which matches up with 40.590902 by negative 83.635208 degrees. Latitude, longitude, coordinates, GPS, whatever. Now, that's all I have to contribute to this. I already added it into the other video, but I figured I'd throw this in here while I was dealing with the person saying from a blank channel where they literally contribute nothing to this situation that they want some attention, so I gave them the attention they're craving. And I deleted their comments because they're non-productive. Now, other people pointed out there's at least 2 other names of people that they heard were people who might have been involved in this. Now, I'm going to repeat something. A channel, actually several channels, are trying to insert themselves into this by literally making it about them and all this other stuff that I'm being accused of, which is fine. And, well, no, it's fine for you to accuse me of it because it's not true and I don't give a shit, but I'm gonna feature you because you demanded it. But the other channels are literally trying to make money by making sure that they get page views out of it. I've only covered this, I think, twice before, and it was trying to find out if the images could be traced back to their actual location being photographed. And all you have at the area, if you want to look at it, is a couple of Google Map locations that are Google spheres that were taken about the same time this happened, a little while after, by a person wearing a Google hat doing Google spheres on the bridge, just 2 of them, so that it would be stereoscopically correct left to right, so you could use a 3D scan of the area a little bit. And they're very blurry, and it was done at the worst time of day to do it, and someone needs to go out there and fix that. The other thing is, by changing the seasons, I couldn't find any way to line up. I'm infamous for this, by the way. The pictures are supposed to be the crime scene with anything in the area by looking at downed logs. Now, I don't know if you understand this about an area that's trying to be a semi-wild area, but trees either fall all the way down, which means they have no shadow and form a straight line, because they usually go pale when the bark comes off, which these did, or they're leaning up at an angle, which means they'll have a line that's white and then a line that forms a pattern, or they'll have a straight up and down, which means they'll have a tree and a very specific V that matches all the other trees. Some of the years you look at, especially through Google Earth, show you almost exactly what time of day that image was taken. And I did not find any discrepancies or extra logs. And one of the pictures, I might even include the link here, has 3 logs in the background and then 2 in the foreground. It's a very specific pattern that you should be able to see. Can't find it. So I'm pretty sure those photos that were taken by somebody who wanted to prove that these 2 kids were killed in a barn or something like that, the images that were submitted to him that were not given attribution were taken at a completely unrelated location, because even on that day, yes, I sat there through this 30-minute long video taken from a helicopter, there isn't any sign of any kind of caution tape or anything put up near 3 downed logs in almost a perfectly straight line, all falling the same direction, and 2 in the foreground falling the same direction, and then one lifted one you can just barely see at the angle. None. That's an extremely unusual thing to not be able to see when I've literally spent my entire existence practically on Google Maps and such trying to locate this sort of thing. And one of the images from Google Earth and also from Flash Earth is from the same time period, and a couple of the pictures from Google Earth are just a few weeks later. So I don't think anybody would bother removing a log from an area that was a crime scene unless it was taken in for evidence, and they would have just taken out the section they needed, like if they found some evidence on it, or they'd have just taken the evidence that they needed and left the log. There's no reason to move an entire log. And when logs fall down like that, all the same direction, it's almost always the same thing. They're on an incline, so they all like fall one way or another. They might fall uphill, but they'll all fall about the same direction. Or an uplift, that's not likely, or a storm. And the storm will be affected by the terrain in the area. Next thing is the location they were found. I posted under one of the videos, that's not the location the bodies were found, or the crime scene, if you want to call it that. That's where a lot of the reporters were pointing cameras at, but the location that's indicated is actually at this address I'm giving. I put it in the previous video for a reason. I also second-guessed myself and said maybe it's another location, but I'm pretty sure that's it. But I could be totally wrong, obviously. But, you know, I don't even know. I mean, I could be totally wrong here. And I might have gotten this wrong because I've been cutting and pasting addresses. That could actually be the wrong address, too. But anyway, I need information about, has anybody ever had the description from the police about the car? Because right now, as of now, there's never been one posted that I can find. There should be one. Next, did the police ever absolutely say where the bodies were found? I mean, did they point it out on a map? Because they don't indicate it on their map, but most of the websites for the news do. And almost every one of the YouTubers just shows it at the first bend in the river, which is a 1/4 mile away, not a half. And I guessed at it just because I didn't want to look it up first. I wanted to guess it from the information and then double check it. And there were 2 possible locations. A linear distance that's 1/2 mile away and only matched up with one embankment, and the other one that only works if you do the wiggle waggle. So they may have been referring to walking distance where they matched it out, but I don't know. If anybody has any better information about where they were found and where the car, the mystery car, was, and it was a car. According to another YouTuber, he managed to contact the police and they said they're looking for a sedan. It's not a van or a pickup truck or anything like that. A bunch of people who made guesses like that or said they have it on good authority were probably wrong. By the way, if somebody was trying to get away with something like this, they would pick the most common thing on earth to use, a white car. One of the most common colors, one of the most common kind of cars. You don't get you don't get anything that you would see in a movie. It's the idea. And the way the guy was dressed and looked would fit in with every area that he was at the time until right after this. And he may not have had any reason to assume that anybody took photos of him. And again, my original assertion is still standing. They need to release the unaltered files because there's something there. I'm sorry, but any alteration of the file is wrong. If they downloaded the Instagram, or not Instagram, if they downloaded the Snapchat images, then they need to provide them in RAW mode. Same thing with the video. Any editing of any kind, in any way, shape, or form, verboten. Because at this point, they've already exhausted everything. If they're going to appeal to the public, they should provide us with the information to do this with, because the only tools we can use is having the raw data. If we don't have the raw data, we can't help. And if they're waiting for somebody to give them a tip about something years ago, it's dead. It's gone. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. And thanks to the Blank channel from 2017 for giving me a reason to erase something today. Bye.